This was once the shaft of the Jefferson Island salt mine, where men had been pulling salt out of the earth since 1919. Louisiana's salt lies in gigantic underground domes, some larger than Mount Everest, which are pushed upward by the force of the heavier rock that surrounds them. Part of the Jefferson Island mine is located directly under Lake Peigneur. The mine, which was operated by the Diamond Crystal Salt Company, shared space on Jefferson Island with a lush botanical preserve known as Live Oak Gardens. There's another abundant resource deep under Lake Peigneur, one frequently found in pockets near salt domes. It's as black as the salt is white. So it was hardly surprising that Texaco was conducting exploratory drilling close to the Jefferson Island salt mine in November of 1980. On November 20th, the two delicate underground and underwater operations, drilling oil and mining salt, collided in spectacular fashion.
At 500 or 600 feet, they hit salt. And they were not supposed to hit salt for another couple of hundred feet.
The drill bit became stuck. The crew heard strange popping sounds. The oil rig tilted badly to one side.
And at that point in time, the drillers recognized that they had a fairly serious problem on their hands.
What they didn't realize is the 14-inch drill bit had punctured the roof of the salt mine at the 1,300-foot level, creating a funnel for Lake Peigneur to drain into. It was apparently the result of a simple miscalculation. 90 minutes after the drill became stuck, the drilling crew, who had wisely abandoned the tilting rig, watched in amazement from the shore as their 150-foot derrick disappeared into a lake that was less than 10 feet deep. Meanwhile, 1,300 feet below the surface of Lake Peigneur, diamond crystal miners, who had not been alerted to a problem, looked up to see something you should never see in a salt mine. Water.
Water flowing through salt tends to dissolve the salt. As you increase the volume of water, you increase the volume of salt that can be dissolved.
Soon it was clear. Lake Peigneur was draining through the hole bored by the drill bit and into the salt mine. As the 2.5 billion gallons of Lake Peigneur surged into the mine with 10 times the pressure of a fire hydrant, a mighty whirlpool was forming on the surface.
The whirlpool is basically a vortex of water and mud that is flowing down into a fairly confined space. And that whirlpool is basically flowing downwards under the force of gravity, pulling sediment and other materials down with it.
The whirlpool's sucking force pulled heavy-duty barges toward it as their crews leapt for safety. Men watched with jaws agape as 11 barges and a tugboat disappeared into the vortex. Those are 4 fully loaded flatbed trucks spinning helplessly in the whirlpool. By that point, the whirlpool was sucking down Jefferson Island itself. Before evening, 65 acres of land, including much of Live Oak Gardens, would end up at the bottom of the mine. 150-year-old trees were snapped in half.
There were pecan trees that were 150 feet tall down here in this woods, and to stand there and watch them drop completely out of sight was, yeah.
Along the shoreline, along the Live Oak Gardens and the Jefferson Island Mansion, you're basically seeing what are called landslides, where the ground is actually shearing and breaking apart, and gravity's pulling these blocks down into the hole.
Look at this over here, look! Look at that going in there. Wow, look at this!
That house that we were standing on, all you see now is a chimney. The house sank about 30 feet.
Could things get worse? Yes. Delcombe Canal, which normally flowed away from Lake Peigneur and into the Gulf of Mexico, actually reversed direction under the intense sucking power of the whirlpool. As the water rushed into the now nearly empty lake bed, it formed a 150-foot waterfall, the highest ever in Louisiana.
But that's the only time the Gulf of Mexico flowed north, basically. So that's a lot of water to fill up that hole.
As the water rushed into the mine, its rapid displacement of the underground caverns shot a deafening blast of compressed air, and later, a 400-foot geyser up from the mine shaft.
To see something like this, it was terrible, really. I thought it was the end of the world.